Happy Christmas from a friend remembers. And in this short bonus video to celebrate the end of my marathon year of the JRPG, a year in which I've revisited almost every single mainline numbered Final Fantasy video game, I couldn't wrap it all up without taking a look at one of my favourite spin-off entries in the franchise. Just want to spend a minute telling you all about why you should give Theatrhythm. No one knows how to pronounce the name of this game, but it's adorable. Theatrhythm is a game that allows you to replay and revisit certain tracks, not the entire soundtrack, and everyone's going to have certain songs that they're missing. Their favourite song, I hope your favourite song is here. Some of the ones that are missing I'm a little bit grumpy about. But when there's over 500 tracks for you to choose between, ignoring the downloadable content, there are certain songs from other games, non-Final Fantasy games such as Chrono Trigger and the Nier franchise, that you could pay extra if you really want access to them. But the Theatrhythm game gives you access to 500 tracks to play through in a rhythm game format to get the full feeling of that music. The gameplay is incredibly simple but also incredibly challenging. It has a load of notes that scroll from the left hand side of the screen towards some trigger bars, and you just have to hit the button in time with the trigger. Sounds simple. Some notes you have to hold for longer, some notes you have to press an up, down, left, right or diagonal direction in order to get the full effect. But that's not the true gameplay. This won't force you to hit every trigger or the song will stop. The gameplay of Theatrhythm has a small cast of characters walking along the bottom of the screen and engaging in battles with random monsters from different Final Fantasy games. Every time you miss a note, you're opening your characters up for a chance to have been attacked by the enemy. And as your ultimate goal is to slay as many monsters as possible, every time you get a successive hit of notes without missing a beat or you make a critical hit, you'll give your cast of characters a chance to cast a spell or a certain move or use an item that will enhance their ability to fight and maybe kill monsters quicker, meaning you can build up a faster row of enemies defeated before the end of the song. The goal here is just to challenge your own top score. There's no penalty for failure. It's just play along to the best music that you're capable of doing and have your characters, your team that you've assembled, kill the most monsters. And that team could be almost any character from across the entire Final Fantasy franchise. And just like there are certain songs everyone's going to miss, there are certain characters that I think are really disappointed are not there. Final Fantasy 8 and 10 feel particularly hard done by, given how great some of the characters and memorable some of the characters from those particular entries are, and there's very few people here from that franchise, but maybe that's my bias speaking. Final Fantasy is one of those franchises that has excellent music. It's always had top tier music for every console generation it's been in. The soundtrack has been something that people have gone about, and I've deliberately not touched upon the music in my reviews of the other games, because there's not much to say apart from Nobuo Uematsu, who scored the entirety of the first 9 and has at least touched every other entry since then, is a genius and has made some of the most brilliant soundtracks and soundscapes in the franchise. Aerith's theme from Final Fantasy VII has been played on classical radio shows around the world and is widely recognised as an excellent theme tune. I've been to several concerts of live orchestras performing his music. Distant Worlds I've seen twice in 2 different cities, and I own several of the CDs, and it's just endlessly re-listenable. If someone said to me, name a song about a train, or a song that sounds as if you're riding on a train, I'd jump for the bombing run music from the opening of Final Fantasy VII. I'm sorry, the beat of that song, nothing sounds more like being on a train than that song. It's best in world. And of course, since Nobuo stepped down from being the main composer, there's been a lot of change. The soundtracks for every game since he stepped down have had much more variation. They're very different from each other, but I think there's still a high mark of quality that comes across all of them. Despite being an online game and playing completely differently, the trio Nobuo Uematsu was joined by Naoshi Mizuta and Kumi Tanoika for Final Fantasy XI, really gives you a feel of ambience. I think one of the reasons people fell in love with Vana'diel and are prepared to spend hundreds and hundreds of hours in that online digital world paying a monthly subscription is just because it sounds like a real place. There's 3 different kingdoms and an empire in the far distance, and all of them have a feeling, an atmosphere, an ambience that's just enhanced by some best in series soundtrack music. Final Fantasy XII which is composed by Hitoshi Sakimoto, is some of the most intricate and complex orchestral melodies I can possibly imagine. It has the downside of it's very difficult to sit back and hum some of the tunes from it. I think other games in the series, there's definitely always a melody or a beat or a hum. Uematsu is exquisite at that, whereas I think the music of Final Fantasy XII is much harder to hum, but as a soundscape, as an ambience you can feel yourself lost in. It's incredibly immersive. Masahashi Hamauzu, who composed the music for Final Fantasy XIII, has some of the best beat work, rhythms that just pull you in, and the faster, most accelerated version of the turn-based combat system we've had in the series is perfectly executed by this violin and string-heavy accompaniment that just gets your heart racing. Of course, outside of Uematsu, the second best composer in the franchise has to be the guest entry of Yoko Shimomura, who stepped into Final Fantasy XV. Yoko Shimomura is a genius in her own right. Her work on the Kingdom Hearts franchise is an entire other opus of music that's recognised outside of the industry and rightly regarded best in class for representing almost all of video gaming. For her to step in and contribute a full soundtrack to Final Fantasy XV was a delightful moment, and I have my issues with that game, but the music fits what they were trying to do. The music accelerates it, aggrandizes it, and makes it the best possible version of itself that it could be. The joy of the Theatrhythm series is it gets you a chance to re-experience all of the great music from across these franchises and several spin-off games. There's the Tactics series, there's some of the mobile entries, there's even a couple of really cool remixes that merge some of the songs together and let you experience them in brand new ways that I'd never heard before. It's just a delight from start to finish. It doesn't punish you. There's fun rewards as you bring the characters up, level them up, unlock new abilities, gain new summons, gain new airships, gain new cool collectibles. But that's not the point of the game. This isn't a completionist experience. This is just something to dip into single player or even multiplayer, as you can on pretty much all the tracks get a two-player experience where it will alternate back and forth between one of you playing the songs and then the other. Rhythm games are a weird beast. I was there when the Guitar Hero franchise kicked off and really popularized the genre. Often their joy comes down to one, your patience and capability of enjoyment of just getting the rhythm right and the timing for the different beats of the music. And then secondly, do you like the songs? All of the pieces here will have an emotional connection to you if you've played the Final Fantasy games, and if you listened to and memorized and enjoyed the music and have the same nostalgia for it as I do, you can't go wrong here. It's an excellent collection, and it doesn't matter which version of the Theatrhythm games you pick up, every subsequent one has built on the one before. So the version you're seeing here, which is the new entry, Final Bar Line, contains all of the songs and all of the characters from the previous versions. It's superannuated, it succeeded all of the previous entries. But if you see on a sale somewhere any version of Theatrhythm, you're guaranteed a pretty similar experience. The original ones use touchscreen controls. These ones don't need that, it's all button presses. But it's not about the control scheme, it's more about the feeling, the tactile experience, just the joy of reliving this excellent music. So with the list of songs this excellent, and with the list of characters that you can watch play through, the songs are even ordered largely into their respective games, and you can get a sort of sense for reliving certain scenarios or quests or plot lines from each individual entry from watching your characters take on certain succession of bosses or successions of enemies that, whilst there's no narrative, there's no storytelling, there's no voice dialogue, it does retell the story to a remarkably admirable attempt. Theatrhythm is just a great fun game. It should be relatively easy to find on sale, and with this many songs and this much replayability, if you enjoy any of the Final Fantasy soundtracks, I encourage you to give it a go.